Berserk is a series which excels at escalation and payoff. I touched upon this in my Griffith Rebirth video, but it reigns true for the majority of the series. This series introduces concepts which slowly snowball into a serial event, which usually ends each respective arc of a story, and this changes the characters and the established world building of Berserk. A good example is the Golden Age. We already knew about the nature of apostles and how they came to be from the Black Swordsman arc, but the arc injects Zod early on to show Guts' first encounter with such a being. But when Wild is introduced right before the eclipse, it demonstrates just how tough it is to defeat such a creature. So when the Hawks are surrounded by countless apostles in the eclipse, it makes this much more hopeless and terrifying, which amps the escalation and the tension. The absolute pinnacle of this idea of escalation and payoff in this series, in my opinion, is none other than the Astral Merge. Volume 34 is often cited as one of the best volumes in this series, just from word of mouth online. I think one of the main reasons for this is because this is where the Astral Merge itself takes place. The Astral Merge feels even more earned as it follows the idea of escalation and payoff to a T in a bigger way than the series has experienced before. The effects of Griffith's Rebirth directly influence the events of the Merge even before the blast of the Astral World. Miura does a fantastic job of demonstrating the supernatural of this world, with the demonic figures of apostles established in the Black Swordsman and the Golden Age, and Conviction, then incorporating folklore such as trolls and putting his own dark spin on it. It helps the world of Berserk shift more into a fantasy tone, which feels unknown and surreal, even to Guts, who has encountered the supernatural in the form of apostles before. This is new territory even for him, and it's interesting that Miura decided to explore this. Introducing astral creatures such as the trolls, the kelpies and the ogres, and by extension introducing the concept of magic, and the layers of the astral realm, helps ease the reader into this new direction that the series is going in. Sowing in the seeds early through the trolls' invasion of Enoch Village, but also naturally incorporating magic exposition through Shirke and Flora, introduces us to a portion of the Berserk world becoming more fantastical before the Astral Merge itself makes this a reality. At the time, the reader may not know about what this means for the greater world of Berserk, but the escalation of slowly different astral concepts being introduced to the series, such as the dark astral realm of Clipoff emerging, shows how the aftermath of Griffith's Rebirth runs in parallels to Guts' story. Clipoff emerged because of Griffith, as Slan tells us in the story, and by introducing a whole domain of the astral world in the physical to the reader, it braces us for the eventual Astral Merge, which once again makes us feel earned and exciting in the story when it happens in volume 34. Despite being our protagonist, Guts isn't the only one who's introduced to such astral concepts. Whilst it is very interesting to view this new fantastical element through the lens of Guts, whose experience with the fantastical before this was unpleasant, to say the least, it's also the first time that the world is being introduced to such concepts too, well beyond the scope of apostles anyway. When Laban first goes back to the Midland Royal Kingdom and encounters the Pashaka, it helps set up the immediate contrast compared to the last time we saw this kingdom in its prime in the Golden Age arc. The whole world is being introduced to the supernatural and fantastical concepts, slowly but surely. Things they don't understand, things that they may fear, but also that they somehow desire. There is a lot of information I haven't covered beyond the pieces of world building that Miura has done to incorporate the astral world and then escalate it to an insane degree in the story. But I believe there are two main things we must take away from this based on what I've discussed so far. 1. Gus' experiences with the astral world and how these dark perceptions of classic folklore such as trolls and ogres relate to how he's viewed apostles in the past, and how does this affect his experience of the unknown. The second is the world's experience with these new fantastical creatures, such as the trolls, and the realm of magic introduced by Shirke and Flora to us in the story anyway. This sets up two further concepts of the world which help define Fantasia further. These two concepts are the fear of the unknown and desiring the unknown. The fear of the unknown comes from when Shirka used her magic at first. The residents of Enoch Village were scared because they did not understand it. And if they didn't understand it, they were just fearful of it. But the second concept, desiring the unknown, came from once they saw what this magic could do and how it helped them ward off the trolls, they desired to know more. The unknown was no longer scary to them, and these two concepts helped define Fantasia, and Miura sowed the seeds early here in the Enoch Village, so when this does happen in Volume 34, it feels earned to us, the reader. You may have noticed that I haven't really delved too deeply into Ganishka, who is probably the most valuable player about the Astral Merge. It's hard to skirt around that subject, as I believe he would need his own video going into his character to do him justice. However, what must be discussed is when he goes into his Shiva form through the effects of a man-made Bayolet. The scope and scale that Miura incorporates into this design is earned not just through his fantastic illustrations, but the careful world building which makes the escalation of introducing astral concepts, and then the payoff of Shiva Ganishka, this huge lumbering figure, makes it all the more worth it. This is elevated even further with the imagery of apostles and human soldiers teaming up to take on the spawn from the Ganishka Shiva form, and what this means for the world going forward. As the narration puts it, beasts and men, wolves and sheep, holy and wicked, life and death, they were now hand in hand. The Pontiff's comments on this are excellent. The fear of the unknown defines our society, from language to religion. Our whole place in the world is cemented in trying to understand what the world is. However, when granted with the ultimate unknown, such as the Shiva Ganishka, what happens to these pre-established concepts then? Well, as the Pontiff puts it, you get a radiant chaos, such as humans and demons teaming up together. If this is what happens when one is greeted with the ultimate unknown, then what would happen to the world after this? Well, this all culminates in Griffith, Zod, and Ichiku Rakshas in the hiding, meeting with Shiva Ganishka. Not only does this provide some of the best moments of the series, like Griffith going into his demonic form, a la Femto after so long, and this amazing panel, I mean, look at this, it's one of the best in the series. But, most importantly, the event which changes the world forever, Fantasia. The blast of the astral world, caused from Skull Knight's failed assassination on Griffith, combined with the death of a Shiva Ganishka, works due to the escalation and payoff I have been taking note of again and again throughout this video. I cannot reinforce that point enough. As Femto puts it, one twice reincarnated, and a sword stroke which reaches deeper still within the astral world, have opened the door. This door, so to speak, is something we've never seen on the scope and scale in Berserk before. People who have always yearned and hoped for the unknown are now living side by side with them. They can understand that because now they can see it. This is mankind's desire. Fantasia. Miura tells the significance of this event primarily through his detailed illustrations, stuff of legend such as dragons, giants, and hydras now coexist within the physical. And this is what I love about the Astral Blast specifically, but also to Berserk as a whole. Miura has been building these concepts for years. This escalation, this slow world building. The world merge feels significant due to events such as the eclipse, the reincarnation ceremony, all building, all culminating in this single point. We are just scratching at the surface of the potential of Fantasia and the world merge. And this wouldn't have had nearly the same impact if it wasn't for the escalation and payoff throughout the series, which made this so. Thanks for watching.